about dental laboratory technology with Miss Jurgens. Hello, how are you? Oh no, you're muted.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Sorry.
I was like, that's how you're doing. You're muted. So anyway, we're diving right in. Tonight's a little bit more casual, I feel like, than our last one. So anybody, if you have any questions, feel free, unmute and ask, type them in the chat. But otherwise, Miss Jurgens, can you tell us a little bit about dental lab technology and your program?
Okay, so in our dental laboratory technology program, we study the 5 dental specialties that there are on the prosthetic end of the dental business. Okay, so we learn about complete dentures, partial dentures, crown and bridges, restorations, ceramics, and orthodontics.
So you cover so much.
Yes, we cover quite a bit in a 2-year program. So it's busy. Kids are hands-on in class. I would say about 80% of our class is spent in hands-on activities.
So there is theory. There's stuff to know. And
oh, yes, there's a lot of terminology that they need to know. And it's not, terminology that they're used to, because it's more on the medical side of, the language and stuff. So,
right.
Yeah. So it's pretty, it's a lot. It's a nice class. The way I have the class set up is that the students get all of their notes pre-printed. There's no sitting and taking notes in my classroom. Everything is pre-printed, and every activity we do or process that we do for whatever project we're working on comes with a PowerPoint. So there's picture by picture, step by step, and a caption with that picture of what to do to help explain it to the kids. So typically in our classroom, we go over notes, we go through the PowerPoint, and then I always do a hands-on demonstration with the kids so they can actually see me actually doing it, and they can ask questions during the demonstration. And they just, they get a lot every way, for every type of learner.
Which is awesome, because you have so much going on in your class. Like, there are so many things in your classroom. I think I said this last week, that I have no idea what they do, which makes me want to play with them.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the materials that you get to use and the tools that you get to use in the class?
Yeah, the students, I'll first learn how to work with the different types of gypsum products, which are things like plaster. But they learn that there's 4 basic different types of gypsum products. And we start with the easiest one first, and then we work our way along into the other products that there are. So the students learn how to use those materials for making like models and things like that. And then we work with all different types of waxes, because there's waxes for waxing denture teeth, and then there's waxes for like what we kind of consider like utility wax kind of things. And then there's certain kinds of waxes that we use just for making one individual tooth. And then we work with all different types of acrylics. And then we also work with metal. We actually take metal and melt it down with a handheld torch. They actually get it to about 900 to 1,000 degrees, and then they actually cast their own teeth. Yeah, so they actually will take little pieces of metal, and we'll have them in a crucible, and we will actually be using a gas and air torch that they have to learn how to light, and they have to learn how to set the flame to it. And we actually melt the metal and cast our own teeth, metal inlays and things like that. So there's so many different kinds of things.
Now I have a question. Does that go onto an actual tooth?
Yeah, they can, yes.
Or like an acrylic tooth?
No, like an actual tooth. So say somebody had a cavity that was too big to be fixed with normal cavity filling material, the amalgam, okay, that they use in the dental office. Sometimes then they have to go to a piece that's made in metal and cement that in.
Got it.
Nowadays, though, that's getting a little less, but we still work with metals all the time. So because we're now, we're a little more vain in society now. We don't want any metal showing. So now we have more of our ceramics, and the kids will be working with zirconia and different types of 3D printing material too.
Oh,
So
cool.
we're evolving with the technology that the whole dental field is going through.
Yeah, you just got is it a 3D printer that you guys just got, the new tech?
Yes, we have a 3D printer in our classroom now. We have a scanning machine where we can actually take the model and scan it, digitally scan it, and it comes up onto our computer program. And then we can design a restoration for that. And we can either print something, or we also have a milling system. So we can actually we have like they look like big round pucks, and they're about that thick. And they come in different shades of white. And we actually put the puck into the machine, and then the machine will get the information from the computer program we used, and it will mill out a tooth out of zirconia.
That is so cool. Also, you just mentioned something I never thought about, a different shades of white. Yeah. I never thought about having to match someone's natural tooth color to an appliance or a tooth.
Exactly. Yeah. So that happens in the dental office. The dentist will normally decide what shade we should be using. And then sometimes we have to use modifiers and stains to make it look even more real. So sometimes people have different shades within the tooth. So, up near your gum line, sometimes as you get older, your teeth will darken in that area. Unfortunately, people who may smoke will get stains on their teeth, and are big heavy coffee drinkers. Sometimes their teeth will darken with age and stain, and we will actually get that to look then like the tooth it's next to in the mouth, because you can't put something bright white in there, it would look a little odd. Yeah,
no, that would be a dead giveaway, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
I never thought about that. Okay, so last week I learned about the 29 layers of teeth. Now I'm learning about tinting to make sure that they match.
Exactly.
Always something new. So speaking of learning, what are some of the projects that you guys get to do in your class? Like, at homeschool, it might look like a book report or a research paper, but we're hands-on. So what do our projects kind of look like?
Well, our kids always make models first. They have to understand the basics. And then from there, we have made custom trays, which is a custom fitted tray to take an impression. And then from there, we go through all the steps in processing a complete denture. So for somebody who's missing all of their teeth on their upper arch and all the teeth on their lower arch, the kids learn how to fabricate that. And there are multiple steps in there in that process to get that. So that'll take them through making base plates and adding the teeth in and waxing them in place, and then changing the wax into acrylic, and then polishing and trimming to fit the model in the patient's mouth. So we do that. We make restoration. So that's when I was talking about the metal. We'll make like what we would call an inlay that will cover like maybe 2 or 3 surfaces of the tooth only. And the students have to make that in wax first. They have to learn how to invest it, and then cast it into metal and finish and polish it so it looks really pretty. And then we do ceramic restorations. So those will look more natural because they will be made of porcelain.
Right.
And then we also do different types of orthodontic appliances. The kids all learn how to make the retainer that they get when they get their braces off. And they make custom mouth guards and expansion appliances. And we even show them how to do a version of Invisalign.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We do all that with them through our ortho unit.
Wow. So
yeah, and then we work with partial dentures too. Partial dentures, they learn how to lay the framework for that, and that's laying patterns that are in wax and putting that together, and why we use a clasp on this tooth and why we may use mesh here and all these different things.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you need to know, you got to make the best decision for what you're trying to address, right?
Correct. Yes. And why we would put like a certain clasp on a tooth and why we would use a different type of clasp. So a lot of that comes from the dental office. Sometimes, the dentist will fill out a prescription and send it to the laboratory with all the directions on what it is that he wants fabricated. But as a dental technician, sometimes you know that maybe a certain class might not work as well. You might have a better solution. So in that case, we would never just do it on our own, but we would contact the doctor and not tell the doctor he or she is wrong. We would make a suggestion, say, we think that this may work better. And a lot of times the dentists really appreciate that feedback from the technician because, we're working on a daily basis with that. And sometimes some dentists may not do many partial dentures.
Mhm.
So,
And the technology changes, right? So
exactly.
you as a tech are going to know what the new technology is and what's going to work best.
Right, right. So many times the dentist and the lab techs do work hand in hand very closely together, especially if you're a smaller laboratory.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like working, right? Working out in the field. So, what kind of jobs, what is the outlook? What's the outlook for jobs in the dental tech field and where can this take you?
Well, they're definitely looking for students that are really into the new digital. Okay.
Mhm.
They want them to definitely know the basics and the tools that we use in the basics, but they're really looking for people who are technically savvy with working and being comfortable with designing things on a computer screen. So that's one of the things that they're starting to look for more and more in the laboratories as this technology evolves and the laboratories purchase it because it's very expensive. So they have to have definitely a true commitment to wanting to use that process, so that they can recoup their money and have it be profitable for them.
Sure.
But all of our laboratories will hire students for sure at a entry level position.
Mhm.
And if they have that background with that digital, that's always a plus. Um, but definitely our students, majority of our students can come out of our program with entry level skills at minimum.
Mhm. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, to be able to start working and maybe work your way through college and not have any student loan debt or start your career and work your way up, that's an awesome opportunity at 18 years old,
exactly.
to know where you're going to go. But if students did want to go to college, we have articulation agreements, right, with all of our programs. So which schools do you have articulated with your program?
We have an articulation agreement with ECC South. That college and that campus has the dental laboratory technology program, a 2-year program, and it's based a lot like our program. It's set up a lot like ours here at Harkness,
Mm-hmm.
but they definitely go into even more depth, than what we do because they have more time with the students. Like they will take like one semester of all just complete denture that, they'll be there for like a couple hours each day learning about complete dentures, and
Right.
so they have a little more time to focus on certain things even closer than what we do. So,
Right.
but coming to our program and then maybe transferring into that is always helpful because the kids then going into the program, they feel a little more comfortable because they're familiar with the terminology. They've already made a denture. So now they can really perfect their work and they're very familiar with it. And, it's a good transition for many of them.
Right. Right. Would you say that this class too is a great stepping stone for someone who wants to maybe be a full blown MD, a full dentist or orthodontist?
I think so for sure. I have 3 students that are now dentists from over the years. Um, so they all say that, it helped them spark their interest. It made them know now that they definitely wanted to do something in the dental field. And, we talked about the steps it took to become a dentist. So they weren't, shocked when they found out that they had to complete an undergrad degree first and then apply for dental school and take a dental exam to get into dental school. So, those were all things that helped them feel a little more comfortable with the process.
Right, right. Well, and
Definitely.
walking into a program with prior knowledge is always going to help you. So if you walk into UB Dental and you already know the anatomy and physiology of the mouth, you are leaps and bounds ahead of your uh, what is the word? I
Uh,
wouldn't say colleagues, but co-students.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and our program's even great for students that may want to go into the hygiene area or the dental assisting area too, because we learn all the basic anatomy, and that just takes some pressure off of them when they have to take A&P. You know, when they're taking
Right.
anatomy and physiology, those are terms that already familiar with. So they're like, okay, I got that one. I understand it. Now I can concentrate maybe more on something else that I don't know.
Mhm.
And then a lot of our skills that we use in the hygiene and in the dental assisting, they have to do a lab end of things too, because some hygienists and assistants do minor lab work in dental offices. They just don't
Oh.
clean teeth all day.
Mhm.
Usually every single dental office has a small little laboratory type setting. Most of them aren't much bigger than like the size of maybe a walk-in closet or a small bathroom.
Mhm.
But they do have basic materials and machinery there to fabricate their own models. And a lot of times the dentists have the hygienists and the assistants do this because it helps save some money because the lab charges for that.
Right.
And there are some things that the dentists will do on their own. Some dentists like to make their own dentures.
Mhm.
Um, when you're in dental school too, you have to make a denture. You have to
Right.
make a few dentures because they just can't be like, hey, I'm going to pull all your teeth out and now we'll just order it. You know, we'll just order this. They have to know how it's processed. They have to actually make them. As a matter of fact, one of my students um, is working over at the UB Dental School's laboratory.
Oh, really?
Yes, and she didn't go to college. She got a job from her internship.
Mhm.
She graduated in 2014, and her and I have kept in touch throughout the years.
Mhm.
And she was working she did her internship at Pro Aesthetics Dental Laboratory, and they hired her. And she worked
Wow.
there for about 5, 6 years. Well, let's see, it's 2020. She started working in 2000. So she worked there for 5 years. And then last year, um, I ran into her, and UB Dental called me, the laboratory, and they said, do you know anybody? And I said, I don't. And, truthfully, they were trying to get me to come over. They were trying to get me to leave BOCES
Get
and come
out.
and work with them. Because
Well,
the two
we're
young
happy to
ladies,
have you still.
the two ladies that work at that run the UB Dental Lab, I know. I went to Harkness with one of them when I was a student,
Mhm.
and the other I went to college with at ECC.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, I can't tell you how the lady that runs the laboratory over there, she was calling me and she's like, please, please, we need somebody that knows what they're doing, and
Mhm.
somebody that's got experience. She goes, we know you can do it, because they also wanted the person to be able to work with the dental students and be able to help teach them.
Ah,
And
yes. So
I
you would
said,
have been the perfect candidate.
and let me tell you, it was tempting,
Yeah.
but I like working with, I love working with the juniors and seniors, the 11th and 12th graders.
Mhm.
I absolutely love my job at BOCES, and I couldn't leave. I just couldn't. I mean, it was
Yeah.
tempting. They were throwing some perks at me, but I'm like, no, I'm really comfortable where I am. I said, but you know what? I will help you find somebody.
There you go.
So, and they were like, okay, great. So I thought of this one student, and her name is Nicole. And I called her and I said, hey, I said, I really think you would be a good person for this. And I went through it with her. I said, they want somebody who's young and vibrant, and, really somebody that's just want a little bit of a go-getter, and
Yeah.
somebody that knows their craft. I said, and you've been working now for 5 years. I said, I feel you know what you're doing. She had gotten promotions at the laboratory she was at.
Mhm.
And they interviewed her and they loved her. They absolutely loved her. She's been working there now for, actually, it'll be almost 2 years. It's about a year and a half now she's been working there. And we talk frequently, and she's always like, thank you so much, Mrs. Jurgens. She goes, I absolutely love it here.
Oh, good.
So, I mean, that's another great success story that we have.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, but is there a lot, so like speaking of jobs and success stories, is there a lot of work to be had here in like even locally, just the Buffalo area?
We have the second largest orthodontic laboratory in the world right in our backyard. It's in Tonawanda. It's at the end of the 290. And they are always, I mean, they are almost always hiring. and they have so many of my past students working there.
Mhm.
Many of my students, I'll go in for internships when I go visit my students when they're doing internships, and I walk through the laboratory and they're like, Mrs. Jurgens, and it's just amazing. I probably have about 20 past students working there right now.
What?
That laboratory employs about 250 people. It's definitely
Wow.
a sizable laboratory because they also sell product, and they have a huge customer service based area and a sales department. So even if, you're thinking, well, maybe I don't want to sit and work at a bench and, make prosthetics, there's the whole other end of dental sales too
Right.
and customer service. So I have students that are working in those areas too, because now they know about the materials because they've worked with them, and it makes them easier to help understand and be a good customer service rep to the customers, calling with questions about product.
Right. You can talk the talk and walk the walk kind of thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
So what is like one thing it would take for a student, like a character trait, to be successful in your program?
Definitely, good hand-eye coordination and paying attention to detail. And in the beginning, just perseverance, not giving up.
Yeah.
The students are working with tools and machinery and uh, so many different types of waxes, like I said, and acrylics. And, the first time, it's not easy,
Mhm.
so the more they work with the materials, the easier it becomes. And I actually, today, one of my students was setting teeth, and she said to me, she goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of myself." And I said, "Why? What'd you do?" And she's like, "I got all teeth set in one class today." She goes, "Last year," she goes, "it took me almost a whole week to do them." And I
There
said,
you go.
"See," I said, "you see how the more you do it and the more familiar you are with it, how much easier it goes." And she's like, "This was awesome." She goes, "I'm so proud of myself." And she brought her teeth up and she's like, "Look at Mrs. Jurgens."
Oh,
And it was just so nice because you saw that light bulb go off, and and she was so happy. And it just warms your heart when you see that.
oh, absolutely. And it's just nice to see the process, because you see these kids who have never seen acrylic before or manipulated acrylic, and then we're coming into our own and like you said, going pretty quickly and setting a whole set of teeth in one class period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I know someone is probably wondering, so Miss Jurgens, can you tell me if you get to mold your own teeth or not, and why or why not?
Well, unfortunately, we can't work on our own teeth. Most of it's due to the OSHA rules and infection control. Okay, because you're working with a bodily fluid. Um, so we can't take impressions in there. We don't have a certified dental assistant or hygienist on board. You have to be certified to take an impression. Um, so we really don't work on our own mouths. What I do allow though is when we make our custom mouth guards, the students all learn to make a mouth guard on the model I provide. But then if they can bring a model in of their own mouth from their dentist or their orthodontist that's gone through all of the infection control processes, then I will let them fabricate their own custom mouth guard.
Look
I
at
can't let
that.
them make their own retainers. A lot of people ask, "Can you make my retainer broke? Can you make one?" And we can't do that because if the students accidentally bent a wire just maybe slightly, like a millimeter off, if that shifted their teeth, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah, that would be a
So,
really not good. Yeah.
yeah, no. So, but the mouth guard, as long as they have their own model, they can do that because it would not pose any damage to their teeth.
Right.
If anything, it
Right.
just helps protect them even more.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like a fancy pants mouth guard. Like I think you said last week, it's not the sport one that you boil in water and then stick in your mouth and bite.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the real thing. This is what the professionals wear. It's actually the materials heated up, and then by pressure and vacuum, it's formed to the model that we have. So it fits like a glove.
Well, so it almost I bet it kind of like has a click when it goes
Yes.
onto the teeth. Like it's
Yep.
snug.
Exactly. It is snug. I mean, they kind of like just kind of snap in there. But
Is
it's
that
soft,
like what,
pliable material, so it would not hurt anybody.
so is that what like football players would wear? Something
Uh,
that tight?
a lot of times, you know, who you see them is hockey players. As they're coming off the ice, they kind of flick it out with their tongue and then they kind of bite and half of it
So they're
hangs out of their
chewing on
mouth.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's exactly what they are. And when I used to work in the laboratory before I started teaching, the orthodontic lab that I worked at, we had many pro sports teams that would send them to us and we would fabricate them for them.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Were there any, are they all just like plain black or did people get
They can
fancy
pick
with-
whatever color they want. I mean, they come in green, blue, yellow, white, orange. We even have like a fluorescent orange color. You can take and mix colors together. So like we've made them where we've taken blue, white, and red and made red, white, and blue ones.
Yeah.
And we can put decals in them. We can put their names on them. Yeah, there's all different things you can do. It's just a matter of, you know, your creativity and what you can do with it.
Yeah. You weren't kidding when you said custom mouth guard, that's for sure.
Yep.
Well, if anyone has any questions, we're kind of winding down here with Miss Jurgens, so go ahead, type them into the chat or go ahead and unmute and ask your question. But I do want to say that Miss Jurgens is our only dental teacher. She's our only dental lab tech teacher. You've always been at Harkness though, right?
Yes, we've always been at Harkness. Yes.
So her program is at Harkness, but fear not. Your school will offer transportation or provide transportation to our center if you choose to commit to her program for junior and senior year. But since there is only one program, that means there's only one junior class. So if you're interested in taking Ms. Jurgens' class, please, please, please make sure you talk to your guidance counselor. Let them know that you are interested in taking her class, so that you end up getting a seat and not on the wait list. But if you are on the wait list, fear not. Sometimes things open up, so don't lose hope. But it is first come, first serve. There's no application process or interview process for our CTE programs. So the sooner you enroll, the better your chances at getting a seat.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, thank you, Ms. Jurgens. I think that's
Thank you.
our 30 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I
Take
appreciate
care.
it. Have a nice night.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.
Bye.